This episode is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to build and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When you're hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM to get started. We hope you enjoy this episode of Breakroom Banter. Welcome back to another episode of Breakroom Banter, a hairstylist adjacent podcast where each week two friends who happen to be hairstylists break down our week in the break room. I'm your host, Hunter Walden, joined by my lovely co-host,
Anna Schrader, and today we're talking about communication.
Ooh, everyone's favorite topic.
Yes, we're going to be relating it a lot to the consultation and our clients.
Mm-hmm. So we like to start each week on our podcast here building, as Anna calls it, our beautiful bouquet of roses and thorns and talk about a rose and thorn that we have for our week. So Anna, I started last week, I believe.
No, I started last week. It's your turn to go first.
Oh, it's my turn to go first. Okay, well, my rose is that I got my hair done this week.
It looks really good.
Fabulous. And I would say also I got to hang out with my friends this weekend. We thought that we were going to get snowed in. And so we came up with a great plan to just hoard ourselves in my house and get snowed in together and have like a little girls' night sleepover. And
fun.
Yeah, so we didn't get snowed in, so that is a rose. So they were able to go back home, and we all had to work. So I wouldn't call that a thorn, though. And my thorn, that it was cold this week. I think it's a trending thing for me that I just don't like the cold, and it's been.
You just don't like the cold.
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a summer boy.
Oh, well, it sounds like you had a really nice week. For me, I would say a rose would be my good friend Stephanie came to visit, and she lives in Minneapolis, so she was here all weekend. And we got some good outdoor activity. We went snowboarding and skiing and snowshoeing. And also this week of work was the first week back, and it was great. It was so nice to see everyone. So that was a rose. It was longer hours than I'm used to. So it was a little challenging. I feel like you have to kind of build up some stamina for that.
Oh, for
even
sure.
though it was like only 2 hours longer each day.
Oh, yeah. This was your first week on your new schedule, right?
Yes. And it was great. But like I said, those extra 2 hours, your body is like done after 8 hours. You're like, time to go home.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait, 2 more haircuts? No.
I still have another color?
Yeah, so that was a little challenging, but it was also really good. And also another rose would be that I remember in the first episode when I said my New Year's resolution was to do better, but at like packing food. Mm-hmm. I was sustained this week through the food that I packed, and I actually was just in my kitchen making chili for this week. So it's going to be another good week.
Oh, I'm so happy. That's awesome. I bought a Kindle, and I have read 3 books already.
Bravo.
Yes, girl. We've had a lot of snow days. I've had a lot of time.
What books?
Oh, I'm really obsessed with this series by, I believe her name's Sarah Maas, and it's Maas, and it's called Court of Thorns and Roses. And
wow, that's fitting for
about fairies.
Literally so fitting because we just went through our thorns and roses.
Exactly.
That was not cute, I promise.
I'm really obsessed with the series. I have it linked it's in my link tree. I was so obsessed with it. I was like, I need to tell more people about this.
Well, I am a listener. Like, that's why I love podcasts. So maybe I'll like listen to it on tape while I clean and do other things.
I love that you just
cook.
said you would listen to it on tape.
On tape. Book on tape, you know.
Do they still do that? Do they still put books on tape?
Oh, I don't know. I hope so. But I think about like Audible.
Yeah, I just think it's funny you said book on tape.
Did you ever get an actual book on tape where it was like it looked like a VCR, like, or a VHS thing, but it was, you opened it up and they were all cassette tapes?
I never like owned one, but I did, I guess, lend one from the library one time. Oh. So okay. Today's topic is communication.
Yeah. So how important would you say it is? Like, how important is communication in our industry? I mean, God, it's everything. In every industry.
It's everything, in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, people literally have majors for communication. You can go to be a communication major.
That's my fiance, Bradley. That was his major in college, was communications. That's what his degree is in.
Well, we should get him on, like, as a co-host and interview him. Well, clearly this topic is very important because it's important for every industry, and especially ours, because we're dealing so closely with people and what they want.
Do you have in your mind a time when maybe your communication wasn't all there in a consultation?
Yeah, absolutely. And the story ended horribly. Mm-hmm. I felt horrible, and neither one of us were happy. And I will say, in order to have good communication, that was one thing that I was reflecting on this week with the longer hours. I feel like when I get tired towards the end of my day, or if I'm just having a really long, exhausting day, my communication starts to fail. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if I'm not eating, if I haven't gotten enough sleep, if I've been working longer than I should, that's the first thing that goes, is my communication. And so usually my stories of communication breakdowns, it's because I was exhausted and I probably shouldn't have been doing hair at that time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so it was this time where it was, do you want the example of the actual story?
Yeah, whenever I saw the Google Doc, whenever you sent it over, and I saw that the first bullet with how important is good communication in a consultation, I immediately thought of a story where I messed up and I didn't communicate. So I was wondering if you had an instance like that.
Well, I definitely have a couple instances like that, but both of them happen. We
all have them, and
yeah, we all do. And both of them, like, the common thread is I was tired and I basically gave up. I felt like I didn't have control of my chair. I got really apathetic, and this sounds really bad, but I did exactly what the client wanted. Mm-hmm. And instead of taking the time to talk about, okay, well, you know, with your hair texture, these layers are not going to look right. Or, mm-hmm. you know, with what you're asking, I don't have enough time to do. So instead of just actually taking
problem.
Yeah, and actually taking the time, mm-hmm. I just did it, and then they were unhappy and I was unhappy and whatever. But please tell your story. I want to hear it.
Oh, it was the same instance where I believe I had overbooked myself, if I'm being honest.
Shocker.
Right. And we're going to have an episode eventually about that. But I had overbooked myself. I did it to myself. I told people that I could do something that I probably shouldn't have said I could do. And this client in particular had really fine hair. And so in my mind, I was like, of course I can do this here with this amount of time. When in reality, what she wanted was a complete transformation that I should have said, we need to rebook that transformation. And maybe let's just do a style change today and move forward. And it was the same instance where I gave the client exactly what she wanted, but what she wanted and what she had said were not, she didn't know how to speak hairdresser, and I didn't break it down enough.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think that's a really key point that we're going to be talking about a little bit later is people want different things than what they actually say. So that actually leads us into our next point is like, what do you do when people don't know what they want? And maybe they say it, but that's not actually what they want, or what they want is different. You know, it's just so, this is when a very broad spectrum of communication comes into place, because we need to really dig deep and figure out what is it that they want, because sometimes it is different than what they say. Like, I have a client who she has lovely hair. I love it. But she's always, every time she comes, she's like maybe every 4 to 6 weeks I see her. She sits down and she's never happy with it when she comes back. But when she leaves, she's like, I love it so much. She's so happy when she leaves. And then when she comes back, she's just like, oh,
and I need you to fix this.
Right? Yeah. Isn't that so hard? It's so like crushing when people are like, you need to do something. And you're like, okay.
Fine. I think it looks great, but okay.
Yeah, she's so beautiful and sweet. I love this woman. But she always says that she doesn't want like 80s or 70s, 80s hair, but that's exactly what she wants.
And you know what?
Like, that's exactly what she wants. So when I style it to look like very big, like huge hair, feathered away from her face, she loves it. But like when she's telling me what she wants, she's like, I do not want Farrah Fawcett hair, but that's exactly what she wants.
It is, yeah. What I found,
and I can't blame her. Cannot blame her.
Those styles, like the Farrah Fawcett, the Bridget Bardot, the I can't think of any more right off the top of my head, but those styles are coming back. We're just styling them differently.
And we're using different tools. And
yes.
And but it's hard for like ladies who are maybe in their, I don't know, 50s or 60s, because they're struggling with that, because, you know. But anyways, so basically what it comes down to in those situations is you have to figure out, you have to go deeper with the communication. And sometimes they literally just want to change because they're going through a lot. Did you find that like post-COVID, there was everyone wanted to change. And I really had to question, I'm like, okay, all of these clients are taking like double the time because we're doing massive transformations, which is awesome. It makes our job amazing, doesn't it? We love transformation.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the part.
But it does take longer. And I found that usually I kind of tied it to the fact that none of us have control. In the last several years, none of us have had control.
And it's our hair.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing we can control is our hair. And I love that. And it's so fun. And it's a really safe way to express yourself and take control. And so sometimes that's what they're looking for, is they just want to feel in control of their hair. So that's when we need to know their lifestyle. We need to know if they're going to be able to sustain this new style. And if not, we can do drastic changes that are not going to be as high maintenance.
Right. Something that they don't have to really work that hard. One of my biggest, I guess, one of the things I say most behind the chair to my clients is good hair shouldn't be hard.
Amen. I love that.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that every person is going to be able to wake up and wash and go. But it's our job as hairdressers to ask those open-ended questions and the correct questions to know what their skill level is with styling their hair. And like you said, their lifestyle. Are they waking up every morning 2 hours before they have to leave so that they can wash and blow out and curl and all of these things to their hair? Or do they wake up 45 minutes before they have to leave and they need something that they can wash it, let it air dry, and it looks beautiful?
Right.
So,
and then another question is, do you want to be spending an hour on your hair? Exactly. What do you want? Yeah. And you should like the whole process. And you should be like, on the days you don't feel like doing it, you shouldn't have to, but it should still look good.
Exactly.
And the days that you really want to put a little extra, like those are the days that I put eyeliner on. I'm like, all right, eyeliner's going on. I'm going to be a little extra.
Maybe add a little wing, make it a wing, send it out a little bit. Alicia Dixon always says, you should cut the hair for when they don't style it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I keep that in my brain every time I'm doing my finishing with my dry cutting. I'm like, Alicia says, cut it for when they don't style it. So make sure this isn't going to look bad.
Right? Or if there's that weird little flip that like, okay, I know I can round brush that under. Well, she's not going to round brush it under. So fix it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I have a client who comes in, and in the beginning, something I really love to ask my clients is, how has your hair been working for you?
Right.
Have you had any issues at all? Have there been any annoyances? Because these are for my regulars that I cut their hair every 4 to 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And then if someone says, oh yeah, there was this flip, and I know it's not because they were sleeping wrong. I know it's because I need to pay more attention there. Yeah. I need to maybe do a little bit more texturizing and lighten it up a little bit, or change the angle. I mean, there's so many different things you can look at when you're cutting hair. It doesn't always have to be texturizing, but
absolutely,
for sure. And it's always nice to be like, let me know how it's working for you. I'm really excited for this new hair journey and this new change in your life. If sometimes there may be issues that come up, just keep me in the loop on how it's working for you.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked about like asking questions during your consultation. What are some questions that you ask when you are doing one of your thorough consultations?
Well, my questions are really important when I'm doing consultations, even for my regulars. And I think the communication goes right when they walk in the door. It's greeting them with a smile and eye contact. Mm-hmm. And even before we start asking questions, I don't know, and tell my clients who are listening right now, I'm always trying to be a better educator. This is what I strive for. So if this does not happen, you can call BS and
hold her accountable.
Give me a talking to. Yeah, hold me accountable.
Me too.
But these are techniques that I love. I don't like talking to my clients in the mirror, meaning I don't like standing behind them and like making eye contact through the mirror. That can be very intimidating for people at sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
So if I'm really trying to get a very thorough consultation, I will usually pull up a chair and look at them at eye level, sit down with them.
Yes.
And I also do not cape them right away, because people feel vulnerable when that cape goes on them. Right. I mean, we've all seen the memes.
Yeah.
We've all seen the memes of like I don't even know it, the memes where I feel like it's a lizard head or like a dog with bangs or something. And people just feel so vulnerable with those capes. So I try not to throw the cape on them. I try and do the consultation before that happens and get my hands in the hair. And so those are some techniques that I use before I even start asking questions. Before we get to the chair, I've already asked them how their day was, and we've been chatting and usually have a great conversation that I have to interrupt, which is not good communication, but sometimes you just got to get to business. Yep. And I'll just say, let's talk hair. And that's how I start. Like, all right, let's change the topic. We'll get back to this.
Yeah.
But, and then I start asking, I say, all right, what are you liking about your hair? And what do you want to change? And then I also want to get a feel for are you looking for a big change today, or are you looking for maintenance for your hair?
For sure.
And in those questions right there, that the clients can kind of like guide the rest.
Yeah. The last thing I do is ask for photos.
Yep.
That's the last thing that I do. I want to get as much information out of someone before I start looking at what they've been looking at on Pinterest. And then once they show me 4 or 5 photos, and probably from your experience, you know this too, all of those photos are very different most of the time. So trying to decipher what they like from each of those photos and meshing it into one, it's easier if you can kind of start with those open-ended questions. Are you looking for a big change today, or maybe just maintaining what you have? And then
maintaining what you have.
Commitment to the salon. Do you want to be in the salon every 4 to 6 weeks, or do you want to be in the salon every 8 to 12 weeks?
Yeah.
That's really important to know.
Yeah. Do you ask any other questions in that initial consultation?
I feel like you pretty much covered a lot of the ones that I ask. I like how you mentioned you don't throw the cape on them. To tack on to that, I also never pick up a tool in a consultation, or like my shears or anything that suggests that I'm about to start doing your hair. I just and I always ask permission. Is it okay if I touch you?
Oh, that's good.
I feel like having that trust, especially with a new client.
Because I think that's something we take for granted. We're so used to just touching people right away. Like, right away. Like, we're in the business of touching, and it's not weird.
Right.
For us.
We're in one of the only industries where you physically touch people.
Yeah. Getting back to the picture idea, I really like to take their picture and I ask directly, what is it that you like about this picture? And I will zoom in, because, you know, there's usually not a million, but lots of different colors in say it's a balayage.
Oh yeah.
And you like zoom in and you're like, all right, do you like this caramel color? Do you like the amount of rootiness at the front, at the top? And then I kind of, depending on who it is, if I know they're really like numbers oriented, like when you're looking at the balayage and the picture, sometimes I'll break it down into ratios. I was like, okay, so looking at this picture, you can see that on the top, it's about 50% her natural and 50% highlighted. And as we go to the next section, it's like, you know, it's 75 and 25. And then at the bottom, it's 100. Now, do you want to be more natural and scale it down to like 10% highlights? And then in the middle section, 20%. And then the ends, 30 or 40%. And usually when you can break it down in terms of they understand, like percentages, it's better than being like, you know what I mean? It's
right.
And we all see things differently when we look at a picture. And that's the beautiful thing about hair, because it is art. And when you look at a painting by, I don't even know, Picasso, it's the first one that came to my mind. Everyone is going to feel a different way and see something differently. And they're going to perceive color differently, and they're going to perceive shape differently. So it's so important to ask them, what are you seeing? And then like you said, when they bring in like 5 different pictures, you can kind of find the commonality, or then go back and forth, because sometimes they're looking at the cut and you say,
or sometimes they're looking at a balayage and they're actually seeing just the shade of blonde.
Or sometimes they're looking at the proportion. Yep. And then it is also really important to talk about texture with your clients, and do it in a very sensitive way. You don't want to be like, well, your hair sucks.
Right.
You know? but sometimes it is really important because no one's hair sucks. It's our job to make everyone's hair wonderful. And everyone has like ups and downs with their hair. No one has a perfect head of hair. And so find those strengths in their hair and celebrate those with them. And then it's also super important to be real with them and be like, okay, well, this client might have extensions in.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have, if they don't want to spend the money, and I personally don't do extensions. I know you do. Mm-hmm. Clap, clap, clap. Good job. I loathe extensions, so I just don't do them. But maybe someday I'll jump on that bandwagon. But it's important to talk to them about that. And I also feel like hairdressers, sometimes that's a cop-out during a consultation because you don't want to do the work.
Right. I shamefully admit that I have used that as a cop-out before.
Oh, those are clearly extensions.
Yeah, your hair, I just don't believe that this is going to work. I will say now I properly book my appointments and I don't do that anymore, but I have done that in the past, and it's funny that you brought that up. But like you said, hair texture is super important because someone with curly hair like you, I wouldn't use the same techniques on you as someone who has straight hair who curls their hair.
Mm-hmm.
Right? On you, if I were to do a balayage, it would definitely not look the same. It would.
Right.
It would just look like roots.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the curls. So setting that expectation up as well, if you wear your hair naturally curly, maybe a traditional foiling highlight with a root smudge will work a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So that you don't have black and blonde in your ponytail.
When you don't curl it, right?
Right.
It is also important that you describe, because I know this is a podcast, you guys can't see my hair, but I have, and so does Hunter. We both are blonde.
Yes.
And
extremely blonde.
Yes. My hair is toned by purple shampoo, and that's pretty much it. After I get it highlighted, I will put a glaze or a toner on it just for that little extra cherry on top. But I'll go weeks without doing that. So at home,
absolutely.
At home, I just use my purple shampoo, and people are like, I want your cool blonde. And you have to explain, well, we'll tone it today, but then it goes into the consultation with products used at home.
Right. You have to use these maintenance products every time I wash my hair or shampoo my hair. I'm using this purple shampoo.
Yeah, Silver Savior. Silver Savior. I have like a humongous liter of it, and I just
every time our beauty store has a liter sale, I go and steal a bunch of Silver Saviors to keep.
I know. My shower looks like a chronic Smurf genocide happened every single day. It's just bad. My shower is
so bad.
Yes.
Your nails are so cute.
Oh, thank you.
She was sorry for no one can see these, but she has these beautiful autumnal nails that are the most beautiful light khaki brown with a pumpkin orange, almost muted orange accent finger, and it just so cute. And I got distracted.
My coworker Hannah and I were feeling inspired.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys did those at work? You guys do nails at work?
We do. Yes, we do gel nails, and we had a nail tech. She was amazing, Trisha. She actually just moved to Murfreesboro.
Really?
Yes. Trisha Smith. She's amazing, and I love her and I miss her. She just moved a couple weeks ago. She does hair, but she's also super good at doing nails. And she would do that poly gel that it was like a gel that you would like pink down on the nail and like smooth out. And so now that she's gone, we just are two like regular gel. I don't do nails. I mean, I can. If I have a regular who's like do my nails, I can't say no. But I'm not on my list. No one can book me with nails unless they like look me in the eyes and tell me I'm doing their nails.
I get that. I don't think that's something that I would choose to do either.
You know, every once in a while
not great
it's
at
relaxing. No, I'm not. And I can, like I said, I can do the basic gel manicure, but if you ask me to do a design, you'll be disappointed.
Mm-hmm. So we have some topics that were asked of us from our listeners, and let's just hit those before we kind of close everything out. The first one is parts and how they relate to face shape. How do you feel about the TikTok trend of, is it no more middle parts or no more side parts?
It's no more side parts.
I forgot because I just thought that it was so stupid to me.
I know. It really frustrates me, and I'm all about the trends, and I think that it's okay to be trendy, but it's not okay to be mean about people who are not on trend. And let's be real, like we're gonna just talk about, not a center part does not look good on everybody.
No, it does not.
No. So generally a center part, you can get away with doing a center part if you have like a round face or an oval face. If you have a really long face, a center part, you can work that out, but sometimes it will elongate your face. But if you have a really wide face, a center part doesn't always look good. But with that being said, I personally feel like you can pull off anything. If a center part is what you want to rock because it's on trend, do it.
Absolutely.
Do it. And if it's not the most flattering parts, who cares? If that's what you want to do it.
Yes,
and
I agree with
confidence is the most attractive thing when it comes to styling. So choose whatever part you want, but I would say that if you have more of a square face, a chisel face, a side part is actually going to accent your lines better. So go from if you have a very, very chiseled square face, like a technique, and I'm literally doing this in Zoom with Hunter right now. Go from the side of your face and where your finger leaves the angle of your face. That's where your part should start. And that doesn't mean it has to go like that far back. You can angle from the side to the center. Mm-hmm. That's one technique that I really love, especially with curly hair, because you have a super side part, one side of your hair is going to look massive, which is
and it's
great.
So beautiful when you do it too.
I know.
But
if you want more of a full, like
lioness. Oh.
All right. Okay. So, all right, you guys, my earphones just were ripped from my head by my cat. So we're back. We're rolling. We're talking about curly hair and parts, and one technique that I love is if I want to have like the center part vibe, but I don't want to have a center part, I go from the side to the center. So I start the part at the side of my head, and towards the apex of my head, it's in the center. Like the very tippy top.
A diagonal parting.
Yes, bingo.
Okay.
That's the word. So,
this reminds me of that game we played in Vegas.
Oh my goodness, that was so fun. And also brought so much anxiety. Explain. Hunter, explain.
Explain the game. So, we were in Vegas at a training for educators, and we played this game which was all about communication. And being able to explain something when someone can't see you. We were talking more about the digital age with Zoom education and things like that. It's important to use accurate verbiage to describe places on the head so that people can visualize what you're talking about. So Anna was putting her finger on her cheekbone and moving straight forward. And when her fingers separated from her forehead, she went and parted her hair there all the way back diagonally to her apex of her head. And
so if you guys can actually do that, please send us a picture via DM.
Yes.
And that means that we were able to describe it effectively.
Boom. And that was the challenge. We were in groups of 2. One person was looking at a mannequin and one person was sectioning the mannequin. And the person sectioning the mannequin couldn't see what they were supposed to be sectioning.
Yeah, they couldn't see the benchmark.
Right.
And so you had to describe it to them.
Yes. And it was so much fun, but yes.
It was so fun.
It was, when there's a time limit on things, I go blank sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to parts, because one thing that I really love, the idea of anywhere your part is, that's where your eye is going to be drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to draw attention to someone's beautiful, beautiful eyes, a good trick is going right from their iris straight up. Mm-hmm. And that's always a very, very flattering part, whether it be right or left. Mm-hmm. And I quite often coach my clients to change up their parts, because that's going to give their hair volume. It's also going to give the hair that's constantly exposed to the elements a break. Yeah. And kind of confuse the base of the hair so you get that nice lift and bounce and volume if that's what they want.
Yeah. And it's good to change it up too. Sometimes from the constant parting in the same spot over a long period of time, the hair kind of thins out at the part line.
A little bit of alopecia.
A little bit of alopecia there. So switching it up to the other side sometimes gives that hair some time to rest. Mm-hmm. So that you're not constantly touching it right there and pushing it to the side and all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to add about parts?
Parts related to face shape. Another method that I've used in the past is the arch of the brow. Mm-hmm. For the side part. It's like 2000s, early 2000s deep side parts. Whenever I have a couple of clients that still use the arch of their eyebrow to go. Mm. It's almost at the height of the parietal ridge there. Mm-hmm. And then part over.
I have some clients who are super, super picky about their part, and they'll literally be like, give me that comb, and they'll part their hair themselves.
Oh, I have clients that I just hand the comb to. I say, here.
Exactly. And then I have clients who are like, I don't know, that looks about right.
Yeah, or just wherever it falls.
Exactly. And usually that's a good way of finding it is by wetting the hair, combing it all back, and then just kind of shaking it a little bit and seeing where, or pay attention to where it is when they walk in. That's another good indicator.
Oh, I always forget. There's a 10 out of 10 chance that I will forget what their hair looked like when they walked in.
This is so funny. I try and do this. I see someone's hair where it's parting, and then I do like a little hand movement in the direction that it's going. So I remember, because sometimes I'll start by shampooing, and then after the shampoo, I'm like, dang it, where was it? But if I did like a little hand gesture from like to the right, moving my hand to the right, then I'll remember. So,
well, it helps when you're coloring the hair because you color to the part line.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But when it's just a haircut and you're trying to remember where they part, I can do your hair for 5 years and I can guarantee you I'll still ask you. Mm-hmm. Speaking of questions, that's my favorite question. Who do you want to be today? What side of the head do you want to part on today? Acting like I didn't just forget where they part their hair.
Right? Oh my goodness. Ah.
So, what about styling hair accessories like scarves, bows, clips, things like that?
Well, the clips are
use tons of hair accessories in my hair. I forget they can't see. If for those of you not able to see me, I have very short hair. I do not use accessories in my hair. So take it away, Anna.
Okay, so I am loving the old clip, like the clip trend, like those big chunky clips from like the 90s.
Yeah,
I am all about it. It's super low maintenance, and all of our listeners should know that I am a very, very personally, I'm a very low maintenance styler. So I love the clips, and I love accessorizing because then that's less I have to do, and it.
She's so passionate, people.
Oh yes, I also love scarves. I love like including them into my, just wrapping around my ponytail and letting it be like cute and bouncy.
I feel like I've seen you braid a scarf into your hair once.
Yes, I have done that a couple times. I love braiding the scarves into my hair, and then you can just like kind of fluff it up, and people are always like, "Oh my gosh, your hair is so cute." I'm like, "Thanks, that took me like 30 seconds."
Yeah.
And bows, personally, I'm not a big fan of, but you know what?
You don't like JoJo with her bobos?
JoJo
Siwa with her bobos.
I know. I do not have children, and I don't have any nieces that are that age. So JoJo Siwa I've been told by a couple of my clients the craze of JoJo.
Yes, JoJo with her bobos. I think she's grown out of that phase, though. I don't keep up with JoJo, but she did have bobos.
JoJo with her bobos.
Just bows. She had bows.
Did she say bobos?
I don't know, but I kept saying it. I was annoyed by myself saying it. Said bows. Okay, so you're not a super huge fan of bows. Are you a fan of bows? Nah, I don't have a preference. I don't.
It's just, unless it's
they're
like
cute in little girls and like
little girls. Yes, little girls wear those bows. Adult women, you know what? If you love the bow,
if you want to wear a bow as an adult woman, I think you can. I think that is allowed. I'm just not my personal preference. I think for adults.
And I guarantee the bow will come back and we'll be eating these words.
Oh, for sure. They're going to like tweet this clip, this audio file. We're so famous. They're going to tweet our audio files. But I've been seeing these, like, I would say, like, I don't know how to describe this. Really thick, chunky barrettes that are like tortoiseshell, like the glasses. You know what I'm saying? Are you feeling the vibe?
Yes, they're not clips. They're like actual clip-in barrettes.
Yes, but they're chunky and plastic, and they're just cute to like add on top of a ponytail or like clip up the back of your head. They're not a banana clip. They're definitely a barrette, but they're the type of barrette that has the metal with the two clasps. Oh yeah. Yep. Those are coming back, and I like them too. I honestly, anything that's different, and if bow is different, then do it. But I like those barrettes that you're talking about. I've seen them. Oh, and the butterfly clips are coming back.
The butterfly clips, and let's be real, I did just go back to my parents' house and raid my mom's like. She keeps everything. So there's a drawer of like clips that I used as a child. So I'm like, this is back in. I'm taking that, and I'm taking this choker. Beaded. It's a beaded choker. I'm like, this is so cool. It's back. And
you remember the headbands? I don't know if you ever
the zigzag ones.
Well, yeah, those. But also there were headbands with clips on the headband. So you would like put the headband past your hairline and then take the hair in front of the hairband and twist it and clip it in each of
Those are the butterfly clips.
Yes, it was the same look, but it was on a headband versus the individual clips.
Oh, I never saw the headband, but it sounds cool.
Mm-hmm. My mom used to make them. She was a DIY queen.
Wow. She used to make, and that was probably in like the early 2000s or 90s.
Oh, yeah, for sure, early 2000s.
She was definitely before her time.
Yeah.
With making those.
She would take like banana clips and put like ribbons and lace and
beautiful.
Make really beautiful banana clips that she would put in her hair, and she sold them in the salon. It was so cute.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's that one thing I love about accessories is that you can really get creative and artistic with it. Mm-hmm. And you can find a bunch of cool ones on Etsy, and I love accessorizing, especially if you have dark hair and you're doing an updo. I love accessorizing because it really adds that detail, and you can see if, like, for instance, if you're braiding really, really dark hair, it from a distance, it kind of just looks like a blob. You know what I mean?
Why not add a chain to it?
Add a chain or a ribbon, or add some flowers, or I'm in love with the flower trend, the flower crowns. I still am in love with flower crowns.
I foresee, we just got like the high school prom schedules for around our area, and I foresee baby's breath this year.
Oh, really?
I think it's gonna like flowers of some sort in the hair for.
I feel like baby's breath was like trending in 2012. But maybe it's been that long.
I feel like it was early 2000s.
Maybe, yeah, maybe just where I was. Never mind. Anyways, I love flowers. I'm in love with flowers. I'm in love with anything. I love accessories.
Yeah. Well, Anna, this has been a great episode. We would like from you guys to know, what is your favorite hair accessory? Leave a comment on our YouTube video, or a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or even send us a DM on Instagram at Breakroom Banter Pod. We want to thank you so much for listening to another episode of Breakroom Banter, a hairstylist adjacent podcast. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, leave us a 5-star review. Let us know what you want to hear. And if you're listening on YouTube, leave us a comment and tell us your favorite hair accessory. I'm Hairix Hunter on Instagram, and my lovely co-host's Instagram is
Anna.shr8hair.
And this has been Breakroom Banter. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.